Annette Steyn, Shadow Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. Silly season at the moment because in the agriculture, fisheries and forestry world, nothing's happening. One can get nothing, which is to the detriment of the different departments that you're handling. How do you feel about that? I mean, it's the same all over the world, so we're not going to criticise government for that one. But it is a silly season, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is a silly season, and unfortunately, I even said to the farmers last year that they mustn't expect anything in this year, even after the elections. Because if Parliament opens after the elections, we don't know if there's going to be a new minister. It takes a while for something to get going again. So I think for this whole year, people must just wipe it out, do their thing, keep on farming, and not look to government for any assistance.
Well, you've just segued me into a question I'd love to ask you. There could be a new minister. Do you think there will be?
I think so. I think Minister Tina last year at the Agri-SA Congress kind of said that she's not coming back. She kind of said she doesn't want to come back.
At the moment, you have no suspicion as to who it might be, or
No.
or feeling as to who it could be.
No.
It will be, but it will be a new minister. You feel definitely.
I think so. I just hope it's someone at least that understands agriculture. I don't think that the current minister understood agriculture.
She did become to get a grasp of certain issues on it, but I think if one looks at the fisheries situation, leaving the decision to Desmond Stevens as she did for making those licence decisions was a disastrous move in some respects.
Yeah, no, it was a disastrous move, and again, I think, you know, it's because understanding maybe in the top structure of the department is not there. And I want to take you to somewhere else. We had a meeting with the DG on Tuesday, or the department. And then she just said to me, why am I going on about the animal health situation in South Africa? It's definitely not a crisis. We can export meat. She doesn't know why I'm saying there's an issue. Many other countries can export with foot and mouth disease in their country. It's how our government currently is handling it, which is a problem.
Is that lack of experience, lack of knowledge, or lack of understanding,
I
or
wish
whatever?
I knew. I wish I knew. There's this outstanding OIE report, the International Health Organization, that we've been asking for more than a year. Because in there, I'm sure the answers would be, where is the lack? But because we can't get it, we don't know.
Let's try and dissect the three areas. Forestry has less to talk about than fisheries and agriculture. So I'm going to pick on, first of all, because agriculture is the number one issue, let's talk about fisheries. The current situation in the fishing industry is one of enormous dilemma.
Yeah.
We really have a Wild West show out there where now people who've done it for centuries, decades even, family on family on family, are now fishing illegally, to some, apart from having temporary licenses.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. What would you have done differently in the circumstances?
Well, it is difficult to say, but if you listen to the experts, and I'm definitely not an expert on fisheries nor on agriculture, but I speak to many people, they did say that the small-scale fishing guys cannot be a threat to the fishing fish in the sea. So what we need to regulate is the big guys, which South Africa apparently has not been doing. There's been a lot of illegal fishing in the waters around the world. So the small-scale guys, we must just leave them. Go out and fish and make it legal so that people can go and fish, and regulate where they sell and how they market and things like that, so that at least we know that the fish that people buy.
I'll accept that. Let's put the small fishermen aside. Let's look at the large-scale fishermen, the Premier Fishing and so on and so on, the large, the ones Oceana and so on, and West Point. Yeah. Let's look at those big ones, for instance. Why is it wrong that what's going on now that you would do differently with them?
The whole discussion now is not about them. It's just on the small-scale fishing. So I'm not sure what needs to happen with the bigger guys.
Isn't the truth of it really, Annette, that those large guys buy the haul that the small guys bring in, or use their fishing quotas to catch more fish? And that's half the problem.
It might be. It might be. But I think also half of the problem is because the small scale guys get licenses. If they didn't, that's why I'm saying we need to look at not so much controlling what they fish, but how they sell it.
You have a representative within the DA that's very vociferous to a point that it almost seems childish and irritating to the public looking at this, that she did that, no, and it's very pointed and very obvious. Is there nobody within your department that can pull the reins in a little bit and say, be a bit more subtle? Because we're all fed up with this bad news.
Well, it might be your perspective of the thing.
No, I'm talking from a public perspective.
Oh, okay, well, I don't know. We did try that, but also on the other hand, there are many people that wants us to be more vicious and voicing out their frustrations, which is also a difficult thing to do. Because many people, we're getting, especially my colleague, is getting a whole lot of emails, phone calls, saying this is going on, keep on hammering. So it is the difficult.
Do you not suspect that if the situations were role reversal and you were in power and they were in opposition, they'd be doing exactly the same thing to you?
Well, that's the part of the game. That's the job.
That's the irritating side to the public, you see.
Yeah, I know.
In the old days, people didn't understand the political scenario so much. Today, with the advent of technology and more coming to the front, people are saying, but it's our daily lives we're worried about, not all this toing and froing and winning brownie points for getting one up on the opposition. And it has become an irritation today.
Yeah, no, it is. But you know what? Also, we're going into election. I think even the president last night said in his speech, people must know that it's going into election now. Everyone is trying to score points in a way. And that's why I said when we started with the question of farming, it's silly season. People must just understand that. And we are trying to do the best we can for the people that ask us to do that. But trying to get a balance is maybe the way to go.
Well, let's move now into an area that you're more familiar with, which is agriculture. There's been an awful lot of failures in that area. I mean, just recently we've heard of committees being torn apart and people with expertise being dismissed to be replaced by people with very little and certainly politically aligned intentions there. And I'm choosing my words very carefully. Why do you think that's, if there's going to be a change of minister, why do you think this was done at the last minute just before voting?
I don't know. I really don't know. I must say this agriculture department is a mystery to me. You know, I've been trying to find out now for the last 2-3 years why we've had so many DGs, why we have such a high rollover of DDGs and high officials, top level officials in this department. There's a problem somewhere. And I have also my own opinion of where the problem lies.
Well, what is your opinion?
I think it's the minister. And I've told her. I think she's not handling people well. She doesn't have very good communication skills. And people just can't cope with it.
Why do you think that Dr. Peter Mulder is the deputy minister there, but one never hears any comments or any engagement between him and the farming community, yet he also comes from a farming background?
Where did he come from? A farming background?
Ownership.
Oh, I didn't even know that. But in any case, I would never have guessed that. So, but
yeah, but there is no dialogue in any way from the deputy minister.
No, you know, you asked why. I think originally the president thought that it's all politics. The Freedom Front will take a lot of votes away from the DA, in the sense that many of our Afrikaans-speaking voters will move towards the Freedom Front if he's now put in a position of power. Unfortunately, also, I don't think Peter Mulder has been doing a good job. He has never been to the portfolio. He came there once because he was summoned.
The committee?
Yes. He was, in fact, apparently put in charge of the legal side of getting all the laws in place, which was never done. So he never did his job that he was told to do by the minister.
So you're telling me he was responsible for the legality of the fishing rights, the legality of farming exports and so on.
Yeah, apparently, because that's what the only time that I saw him in front of the portfolio committee was when he was actually called and asked, so what is your responsibility? Because he never comes to the portfolio meetings. And then he said, no, he must look after the laws, making sure that they're all in place.
Let's move into those legalities. There are rumours abounding that exports are about to be banned on maize, which would achieve. I think there's situations where the stock exchange controls a price, which has got the farmers in uproar. Then we move to shortage and biofuels and so on and so on. None of these issues have been addressed in such a way that we can feel comfort for the future. How would you address those issues?
Well, I've said last year that the thing I think we need to look into first is something like research. There's not enough research, agricultural research at all. And then obviously all the legalities of what is going on. Our agriculture laws is so outdated, and that has got to do with a lot of problems that we're having today. Those things need to be put in place as soon as possible. The next thing is also to just listen to farmers. I think many of the farmers today feel that government doesn't understand and listen to them. One of the challenges with the agricultural side, except for the fact that we're having all these laws that's outdated, is the fact that all the departments play a role in agriculture. It's the treasury, it's water, it's roads, it's electricity, it's all the things. So there's nowhere which we can call a one-stop shop, that they can go into someone's office and fix everything at once. Because I've been trying to get onto the bottom of this price fixing thing, but it doesn't fall in agriculture. It falls now under treasury. So it's another department that needs to deal with, another people. You know, it is quite difficult, and that's part of the problem.